Welcome back for day 2 of the Riley Sewalong. I'm going to be sewing up view A, which is the short overalls, but all the steps in the sew-along apply to both the short and the long views. The other thing I wanted to note real quick is that the seam allowance for the Riley is 1/2 inch. If it is different, which it will be a couple times in the sew-along, we will let you know. The first thing that we need to do is just fuse the interfacing to the wrong side of each of your pattern pieces. This is a really bulky pattern, so to reduce bulk, we made sure that the interfacing only extended where it needed to, and in most instances does not extend into the seam allowance. So just keep that in mind. In the instructions, there is a list of exactly how and where each of the interfacing pieces should be fused. Now that all the fusible is done, you're going to take your small chest pocket and you're going to fold the long straight edge, the side without the angled corner, in at 1/2 inch with wrong sides touching, and give it a really good press. And then now you're going to take the top edge and you're going to fold it down by 1/4 inch and give that a press. And then once again, you're going to fold it again on itself, wrong sides touching, at 3/8 inch. So go ahead and press that really well and pin it. Now to secure that fold, we're going to go ahead and go over to our sewing machine and we're going to stitch close to that lower pressed edge, or at about 1/4 inch, back stitching at both ends. If you are using top stitching thread like I am, you're going to need to be doing this from the right side of the fabric. If not, it may be easier to sew it from the wrong side. Next, you're going to take the large chest pocket and you're going to fold it in half lengthwise, wrong sides touching. Give it a really good press, and then you're going to open it back up. This is going to serve as a guideline for the following steps. Place the small chest pocket on top of the large chest pocket. The wrong side of the small pocket should be touching the right side of the large pocket. The most important thing is that the folded edge of the small pocket lines up really well with the center fold guideline that you just made on the large pocket. And the raw edges of the side and the bottom should line up. Pin generously. Flip the pocket over, and with the wrong sides touching, fold the upper edge of the large chest pocket down by 1/4 inch and press. Flip the large chest pocket back over. With the right sides touching, fold back the upper edge of the pocket at the notches, or at 1 inch, and then pin at the 2 sides. Starting at the upper folded edge, you're going to stitch the raw edges of the pocket at 1/2 inch seam allowance. At each corner, you're going to leave your needle down, pivot, and continue stitching. Also backstitch at both ends. This stitching will also attach the side and bottom of the small chest pocket in the process, and it will serve as a fold line for the seam allowances. Clip the top corners to reduce some bulk. Turn the upper corners of the large chest pocket right side out. Press carefully to create sharp right angles. I like to use this point turner, but you can use whatever tool you like to make sure that it has a nice right angle there. You're also going to want to continue to press in the bottom and side edges by 1/2 inch, wrong sides touching, along the stitch lines that you just made. These corners can get especially bulky, so I like to use my pressing clapper, which is essentially a piece of wood that helps just to kind of press in those fibers and solidify those folded edges when I press them. Now to secure the top hem of the pocket, we're going to stitch close to that lower folded edge and backstitch at both ends. Now if you're using top stitching thread like I am, this needs to be done by the right side, but if not, it may be easier to sew this from the wrong side of the pocket. We can go ahead and put that pocket aside for a second as we are going to assemble the front bib. So take your 2 front bib pieces, and with right sides touching, you are going to pin it together along that center front edge. Now go over to your sewing machine, and at a normal 1/2 inch seam allowance, you are going to go ahead and stitch that from top to bottom. You're also going to need to finish those seam allowances by either using a zigzag stitch or, like me, serging. Just make sure you don't trim the seam allowance when you finish it. Now take those seam allowances that have been finished and you're going to press them all towards the left side of the bib. And when I say left, I mean the left when you're wearing it. On the front of the bib, you're going to top stitch a 1/16 inch away from the center seam into the left side, and then you're going to stitch a second row of top stitching a 1/4 inch in from the first line of stitching. With the wrong side of the bib facing up, you're going to fold in the side curved edges by a 1/4 inch. Press and steam them really well, and then you're going to fold them in again on itself at 3/8 inch. Press and steam really well and pin them. Go back over to your sewing machine and you're going to do a double line of top stitching along both sides. The first one a 1/16 inch in from the edge, and then the second one a 1/4 inch inside of the first line of stitching. With the wrong side of the bib facing up, you're going to fold down the top edge by a 1/4 inch, wrong sides touching, and press. And then you're going to fold it down again by 1 inch, wrong sides touching, and press and pin. Now go back over to your sewing machine, and like you've done in the past, you're going to go ahead and secure the hem of the top of the bib by stitching along that lower folded edge. If you are using top stitching thread like I am, you're going to want to do this from the right side of the bib. If you're not, it might be easier to do that from the wrong side. With the bib finished, you are going to attach the chest pocket to the front bib. So with the right sides facing up, you're going to pin the chest pocket to the front bib, matching the upper corners of the pocket to the placement markings that are on your bib. Carefully pin it in place. Most importantly, you need to make sure that the center folded guideline of the pocket lines up with the center seam of the bib. To attach the pocket, you're going to do 2 rows of top stitching around the side and bottom edges. The first one is a 1/16 inch inside of the pocket edge, and the second one is a 1/4 inch inside the first row of top stitching. Make sure that you backstitch to secure both of the top edges. When you get to each corner, you're going to leave your needle down, pivot, and continue sewing. The last thing that we're going to do is we are going to take that center top stitching that is on the bib and we're going to continue it through the chest pocket. I find that the easiest way to do this is to take a ruler and a temporary marking tool and actually mark these lines of stitching before you actually go over to your sewing machine. You'll be running 2 lines of top stitching down through the middle of the large chest pocket, catching the right folded edge of the small chest pocket at the same time. Be sure to backstitch at the top and the bottom of the chest pocket, intersecting right into the top stitching of the bib. This is a fun place to get a little bit creative. If you have items you want to carry in this pocket, like a pencil or a phone, you can also run other vertical lines of top stitching down through the pocket to create more divisions. Otherwise, you are done for today. You can put your assembled bib aside and we will be starting into the back straps tomorrow.